So after having read all these books, I started, man, there's something wrong. And another thing that came into play on this, besides listening to her talk, was 1 Timothy 1:7. It says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power and love and a sound mind. In another place, in Romans 13, it says, for rulers are not a cause of fear for good behavior, but for evil. Do you want to have no fear of authority? Do what is good. You'll have praise from the same. For it is a minister of God to you for good, but if you do what is evil, be afraid. Now, here I am. I'm carrying a log around in my car, and I'm keeping track of every deductible mile. And I'm saving the logs, and I'm saving the receipts, and I'm reading books on how to make sure I get all my deductions and all this, and filling out the tax return, and paying my monthly thing. And when something comes in the mail that says it's from the Internal Revenue Service, I shake. I'm like, oh no, what is it in this? Why they're after me? This is, And something's not adding up. How is it that I can try and do what is good and yet still be afraid? And so I'm thinking, it's possible. But the IRS is not from God. I saw this research. So I saw this on the internet. Schultz. This is from GiveMeLiberty.org. And here's what they're going to have at this press conference. A forensic accountant will reveal absolute proof of widespread and intentional illegal tax assessments and accounting procedures performed by agents of the United States Internal Revenue Service with the full knowledge of the IRS, Department of Justice, Congress, and the courts. Irrefutable evidence will be presented that documents long-standing the pattern of IRS fraud and abuse, including the unlawful manipulation of taxpayers' individual master files, the propagation of illegal collection of time-barred tax assessments, the intentional underpayment of interest lawfully owed to taxpayers, the imposition of levies against taxpayers' Social Security benefits in direct violation of U.S. law, and the fraudulent certification of court tax documents, and much more. So, I'm not the only one that's seeing this. Here's a forensic accountant and other experts as well. So, I don't want to get crossways with God. Right? There's places in the Bible where he says, render tribute unto whom tribute is due, pay your taxes, and this kind of thing. And so, I pulled out my Dake's Annotated Bible. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Phineas Dake is a man who spent some 500,000 hours studying the Bible, and he compiled all of his notes and he put them in this Dake's Annotated Bible. And it's really easy to find any topic. All you do is you go to the Encyclopedic Index, taxes, and boom, there's 4 or 5 different references. And I start following out the different references to taxes. Yeshua is what I've taken to calling what some people know as Jesus. Holds up the coin and he says, whose inscription is this? Right? And it says Caesar's, and he says, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. And unto God the things that are God's. Think about that. One thing struck me immediately. Who's Caesar in this country? You. Right? The plan was that we would be sovereigns, but sovereigns without subjects. That's what it says in like one Supreme Court decision. That was the plan. We're the Caesars. Peter comes to Yeshua and he says, do you pay the tax? And I told him that you did. And Yeshua says, what? Why'd you tell him that? And he says, I'll tell you what. Nevertheless, he says, of whom do the kings of the earth receive tribute? Of foreigners or of their children? Right? Now, in this country, who's the children? You. Right? And who's the strangers? They're the ones from that we get the import and the excise and the imposts, right? They're the people that want to come in from outside and do business with us. They're the ones that should be paying the tax, constitutionally speaking. And one other thing about render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. I'll tell you what, when you get into the business where I'm at, you owe God everything. There's nothing left for Caesar. So, then, it turned out, I don't know if you know this, Solomon, one of the wealthiest people to ever live on the face of the earth, one of the ways that he became rich was he imposed a tax. But when he died, new king Rehoboam, his son, took over his kingdom. And the 10 tribes of Israel came to him and said, look, if you'll lighten our burden, we'll serve you. But if you don't lighten it, we won't. And he comes back with an answer for him. He says, my father chastened you with whips, but I will chasten you with scorpions. I'm going to raise your taxes. And the 10 tribes of Israel said, we're out of here. Basically, it's a tax protest. Right? And Rehoboam says, get the army, we're going to get them, and we're going to make them pay the tax. And you know what? Yahweh stopped Rehoboam. He says, don't do it. This is of me. So there's an example of Yahweh actually sanctioning and approving of a tax protest. So I'm reading through this stuff and I'm going, man. I see now that I can actually, that I'm onto something. That I can actually stop playing games with the IRS and actually enjoy the blessings of Yahweh. You saw the power of blessings on the water? And then I remembered. In Galatians 3:14 it says that the blessings of Abraham might come upon the Gentiles. And then I was thinking, what is one of the blessings of Abraham? Yahweh promised that he would be an enemy to his enemies and an adversary to his adversaries. And I was like, whoa, that means that if the IRS becomes my enemy, then Yahweh will be their enemy, and that is like way more than the IRS to deal with. So I was like, you know what? That's it. I ain't paying and I ain't playing. And right then I experienced something. It was like a steel rod went down my spine. And I actually just went like this, like sat up. Whoa! And so then, at the time, I was working for Royal Farm, Royal Prosperity. Some of you get there now. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I stop withholding? I don't want them to get any more money than they can possibly get. And I came across the Pilot Connection and the Liberty Foundation. And they boasted that we have got 30,000 members. We've got 30 paralegals in our organization. It's the largest team of paralegals in this nation. And if you will pay us $1,100, we'll be there fighting with you. And none of our members have ever been to court. But if you did go to court, we'd be right there with you. And so we paid them the $1,100, and we thought this would just solve all kinds of problems. The father starts talking to me. He says, now, can a paralegal represent you in court? No. And he says, what would you need an attorney to represent in court? I'm like, yeah. And he says,